Aloha and welcome back to the solar catamaran patio boat build. If you are new to this channel and the videos, we're building a 8 by 16 foot solar patio boat in catamaran style. So two pontoons that are really slicey and efficient so they can cut through the water with hardly any horsepower, dealing with electric motors and solar panels, of course. And right now we've gotten both of the pontoons done as well as the deck on the top done. What we're doing right now is working on the fiberglass that's underneath, and that is a dirty upside down sanding fiberglass and glassing overhead kind of a job that has not been a lot of fun. And that, along with COVID and a few other things, have kind of slowed the project down a little bit, as you may have noticed. We have 5 cross supports connecting each of the pontoons together that run underneath the deck. Between the cross supports and the deck, there's a little bit of a gap, so our project has been filling in that gap and fiberglassing it over so that the holes and the deck are properly connected to each other, making one contiguous piece like a foam-filled surfboard. We have 4 of these different sections underneath the boat, and of course there are 4 sides to each one of these sections that need to be filled in and glassed over, again, to connect the cross supports and the deck together. So the first 2 we've done, I used some fix-all on one of them, and then I've used foam on the other. In the third one, I'm creating these fiberglass strips that I then fit and sand and cut to fill the gap and then tab and glass them over. Well, you'll see as I show you. So here we are underneath, and you can see a fiberglass strip that is a little bit larger than the gap, so there's some overhang there. And the rough area is where I started to cut it with the grinder, and well, that's the wrong tool. And as you'll see in just a minute, the right tool is the Sawzall. So I've got a Sawzall with a metal cutting blade because that's got a nice little tight tooth design to it and will give us a nice smooth cut here on the fiberglass. And you can see, of course, that it is not tabbed together on the bottom. It's just got a couple fiberglass tabs on the top holding it together. So as I go along, I can feel the blade touching the black fiberglass and just gives us a nice edge to cut to. And as you can see, this comes right off. So you can see I've got the foam on the right, and when we fiberglass just directly over the foam, we get air gaps, etc. It doesn't make a really nice fit. By using this strip of fiberglass, tabbing it in and glassing it over, we're going to get a nice tight fit. We're using the same materials to connect with each other and so on. So as I've used all around the deck, 3 layers of 1708 is going to go over the top of this strip, connecting the upper deck, of course, to that cross support with the curve that you see there. And these strips will get progressively wider so they overlap each other, making a real strong connection. As we pan around, you can see that we've stuffed the gaps between the pontoons and the deck with foam. And this isn't necessary for structural support, but it just helps to reduce some of the drum-like sound that you'll get by walking around on the deck up top. And so now we got to do more strips and fill it all in. So up here you can see that's the second panel that we've done, and that's got foam behind it with fiberglass over it. There's little pockets here and there, so not super excited about that, but it is 3 layers of 1708 and should be pretty strong. And then I've got the corners to fill in. I've got a grinder with a kind of a flexible disc that I'm going to use for getting in there, and that'll be on the next video. And of course you can see the one all the way in the front, just a peek of it there, that's all black and already done. So a little bit more work in this second area here. You can see the overlapping strips of fiberglass. Get those corners filled in. And of course we'll cover it all over with black resin as well. And now it's time to lay up some more of these backing strips. As you can see, I'm just using some car wax to go ahead and wax up our laminating board here. This is just a piece of scrap birch ply that we use for making strips of fiberglass. You let them cure overnight, and then you can come in the morning and peel them off. And in this case, I'm using those to bridge the gap between the deck and the cross supports underneath. So nice, good layer, mop up all the extra stuff. No need to wait for it to dry. You can just go ahead and put the layup down right on top of all the car wax. Now it's time to mix up the resin. Of course, we're using regular polyester laminating resin here, and then adding a little bit of the converter. I'm just using a little stick to stir up. Make sure that you look and watch very carefully. You really want to get this stuff mixed up as well as possible. I've done so many of these little trays that I don't have to measure it anymore. And make sure you get it mixed up real nice. Wet your brush and wet the surface for each one of these strips. It's really important to make sure that you've got enough resin on both sides. And get that roller wet on both sides. You want to make sure that you wet the strip on one side, work the material in, flip it over, and get it in on the other side. Here you can see I'm doing a couple little tabbing strips. Always good to have a couple of these around. So the material we're using is 1708, and on one side you've got chopped strand, and now we're flipping it over to the other side, which has the woven material, creating and then this is all stitched together to create what's called 1708. So this material helps to build up areas quickly and is very strong because it's got fibers going in both directions. So now that I've got this pre-impregnated fiberglass strip, I'm going to go ahead and wet up the surface I'm going to apply it to and get it up there. Laying up fiberglass upside down in this cramped space, as well as sanding or doing anything else, is really not a lot of fun, and that's one of the reasons why this project hasn't been making much progress recently. It'd be really nice to be able to flip the boat over and do all this work upside down, but it is what it is, so on we go. The trick here is that your pieces can't be too long, so unfortunately you do have to do a few strips and overlap them, but we're laying down so much glass to connect all these surfaces, it's pretty much overkill anyways as far as keeping the pontoons and the deck all together. And keep in mind, this initial layer here is just to hold it together. We're going to come in after this is cured and then add 3 more layers of 1708 that progressively overlap each other so that you get a really nice connection to the existing fiberglass. So now we need to make 3 more of these fiberglass backing strips. And here you can see I've got them cut to size. And again, this is the 1708 material. And don't forget that we've already waxed our layup board here. So that's all ready to go. Get our brush nice and wet. Roll it out first on the chopped strand side. Then flip it over and add some more resin to the woven side. So you can see that's the side that has all the fibers that are all woven together. Get it all nice resined up. And then you got 2 more to do. I'm feeling better about this technique of creating the fiberglass strips and then using them as backing to connect the materials and glass everything over. I think it's going to help to speed up this part of the job, give us a good result, and enable us to get working on the deck and get this project going. See you guys on the next video. Aloha.